so much. I'm so privileged to be here. So Colten, when he's wearing that Superman sweatshirt, sometimes people say, "Oh, so you're Superman." And he says, "No, this is my secret identity. I'm really a Hulk." So last week on Friday, our 6-year-old son Colten, he got to ring the victory bell at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital. To ring this bell, it's the most beautiful sound because it symbolizes that you have won your battle against cancer. It's a sound that you long to hear, and sadly many do not. But we did. Colten's doctor refers to him as the UCSF miracle. So February of 2015, our world was flipped upside down. Our little 4-year-old was diagnosed with high-risk stage 4 neuroblastoma. It's a rare form of cancer, which is most common in children under the age of 5. And just like Colten, usually the symptoms do not appear until it's spread from the primary tumor, which is usually found on your kidney, and the cancers throughout your body. Hearing your child has cancer is every parent's worst nightmare, as you can imagine. Colten was a terrified little boy when we first arrived at the hospital. It was after a month of fevers, leg pain to the point of barely being able to walk, and mildly anemic. He would tremble anytime anyone would walk into his hospital room. Colten, although shy, was always a macho kid. He was a fan of strength and big muscles. This was why he had the nickname Hulken. We explained to him how the doctors tested his blood, and he has super Hulk soldiers inside him. And they're going to fight evil neuroblastoma, so he didn't have to worry about it. Not all families approach it like we do, but you have to find what works for your child and just run with it. So any opportunity, something to be super, well, it is. Those super Hulk soldiers gave Colten the strength and confidence not to worry. He felt invincible, just like his favorite superhero, the Incredible Hulk. But you don't want to make him angry. Whenever we would meet a new nurse, we had to warn them that if his eyes start to turn green, they should run. It was not long until he felt as if he ran the hospital. If he wasn't challenging you to a thumb war or a breakdance battle, we were having a lightsaber battle in the hallways or a dance party or sneaking around the halls and trying to scare a nurse or two. Our first hospital stay was for 17 long days. On Valentine's Day, he started his first cycle of chemotherapy, or as we call it, super medicine. If you think your lives are busy before, it doesn't even compare to a life fighting the evil villain known as cancer. No matter what your occupation was before, you are now a nurse, a pharmacist, and a parent. I'm a graphic designer, and I didn't even like biology. But after that first hospital stay, my husband and I were now giving up to 20 doses of medications a day, flushing IV lines, drawing blood, weekly bandage changes, daily baths, injections to boost his immune system after we beat it down from treatment. We would call that the power boost for his super Hulk soldiers. And trying our best not to traumatize our child. When you're in a battle against the evil sea, the only thing you can expect is the unexpected. You finish your 5-day inpatient stay for chemotherapy, the super medicine, and you go home only to spike a fever. And this means you have to race to the emergency department within 30 minutes, and then you get that ambulance ride back to our now home away from home, our hospital in San Francisco. And we live in Brentwood. In our 20 months of treatment, we've been admitted to the hospital 237 days. There's probably an equal number of day trips to the hospital for blood transfusions, fluids, checkups, labs, but I don't even try to track those. In May 2015, Colten, our Hulken, had a surgery to remove the primary tumor, otherwise known as the bad guy's base headquarters. At the 10-hour mark, we were getting anxious and a little worried. The surgeon called us, and he said words that we'll never forget. "The Hulk is good." Typically, you stay about 5 or 6 days to recover, and then due to some complications, our stay turned into 23 days. With all this uncertainty and having another child at home with Dad, it was not an option for him to have the same 9-to-5 job. Even with all this support we had from family, friends, or community, at times it felt next to impossible. You naturally expect we had expenses like medical bills. But I know myself, I was pretty ignorant about what it meant to fight cancer or any other life-threatening disease. The other things that add up are paying for parking at the hospital, which can be easily $6 to $30 a day. And remember, we were there 23 days? And sometimes 2 cars. You also must eat, and the guest meals they offer are $8 each. And if you're lucky enough to venture down to the cafeteria or order delivery because you can't bear to eat another hospital meal, it's much more. It can easily be $24+ a day, and after 23 days, together with parking, that's easily over $700. Then there are the traveling expenses, prescriptions, medical supplies, and injection costs. But back to Colten's journey and how he defeated the evil blastoma. He had 9 months of treatment, from high-dose chemotherapy to surgery to even being injected with radioactive dye. We decided to create a comic book about this because it was a little part of the treatment that was a little nerve-wracking for us. But we explained to Colten in this comic book how his super Hulk soldiers were going to be armed with this radioactive power booster to hunt out any hidden neuroblastoma. This left him in total isolation for 6 days because he was radioactive, just like the Hulk. And we did this twice. You can only do it twice in your entire life. We explained how he was the chosen one that could go in the special power-up room because he had super Hulk soldiers. We didn't, so it would make us weak. Once those super soldiers would defeat the bad guy, they would unlock what has been captured for so long, your superpower. So yes, he has super ninja skills now. So his cancer must be gone now, right? After all this intense treatment, it has to be. But Colten still had 14 cancer locations left. He had gone from 24 down to 14, but there was still 14. Our options were becoming slim. We decided to try a newly approved drug, an immunotherapy antibody treatment, paired with 2 chemo drugs. This drug was just FDA approved earlier that year, and this is only the 3rd pediatric cancer drug to be approved in the last 20 years. Yeah, we had a name for this too. It was missile medicine, because it was like a heat-seeking missile to seek out neuroblastoma, and it would blast it to smithereens. Colten was to complete 2 rounds, and then we'd rescan him to see how successful the treatment was. After the first round, his blood counts were not recovering. We had weeks of delay. His blood counts were still not high enough to start that 2nd round. Then he was hospitalized for an infection. It was now a week before Christmas, and it was already to our next scan date. His doctor decided that we should proceed with scans, even though they've never scanned a patient after only 1 round of this, just to see what's going on inside his body. Colten was actually the first patient at this hospital to receive this treatment combination. We needed to know what was going on. On December 18th, 2015, his oncologist, Dr. Clay Gustafson, walked into our room. Our hearts were racing in anticipation of the scan results. With tears in his eyes, he delivered the news that Colten had gone from 14 cancer locations down to barely 1. This was our Christmas miracle. Besides ringing the victory bell, this was one of the best moments along this journey. We got to go home for Christmas and celebrate it as a family. Over New Year's, we finished the 2nd round of antibody treatment, and he became NED, which is no evidence of disease. Yes.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean you get to stop. We've eliminated the enemy from what we can visually tell, but now we need to make sure there isn't any hiding that could make a comeback. So February, we were admitted for stem cell transplant and a 33-day stay. My husband Tim was working commission-based jobs that offered flexible hours so he could care for our now 9-year-old son Cameron, while Colten and I were gone for these long periods of time. I am lucky to be able to work remotely, but when you're caring for a very sick child and getting next to no sleep, it's a challenge. I don't know if any of you have had many hospital stays, but you know that there are constant and much needed visits from nurses, doctors, pharmacists, social workers, housekeeping, insurance calls. It makes it very difficult to be productive. I had to cut back on work, but it was financially impossible for me to not work. Even with all the financial help from family, friends, our community, fundraisers, we were getting behind on our bills and our mortgage. It's a sad truth that families do end up losing their homes when they're in a battle to survive. It's so frustrating because you worked so hard to purchase your home, and it's not something you planned for or had any choice in. We're fighting to save our son's life, and the financial stress on top of it was just almost too much to handle. After our stem cell transplant, we had 12 plus days of commuting to San Francisco for radiation treatment, followed by our maintenance phase, which was more antibody treatment, but this time without chemo. This was when we had the surprise that our medical benefits increased to $1,700 a month. And if that wasn't bad enough, we had a pricey car repair. We didn't know what to do. After all this time, how far we had come, we're winning this battle and now we might lose our home. This was when the wonderful social workers at the hospital stepped in. They explained how at this stage in the fight that it's common for families to start to struggle more. But there's amazing organizations that could potentially help with some of the bills. Peggy helped us fill out an application for Family Reach and submitted it. We were already behind and we were starting to panic. Peggy assured us Family Reach usually is quick to respond, so try not to worry. Easier said than done. I think it was the next day that Peggy contacted us to let us know that Family Reach just informed her that they were going to pay our entire month's mortgage. Of course, I burst into tears of joy and relief. It was the hugest weight that was lifted off of us. So we may have won our battle against cancer, but the financial toll over the last 20 months, we're going to be paying for long after ringing that victory bill. But thanks to Family Reach and all of you, we did not lose our home or our sanity. You helped fuel our fight to win and to smash cancer. We'll forever be grateful for our son's health, the medical professionals, our support from what we call our army of smashers, God and all of you for making it possible for Family Reach to help us and other cancer-fighting warriors' families. We can't thank you enough and we'll never forget it, so thank you very much. Smash on.
Amazing strength. You're incredible. You guys inspire us every day. I want to introduce you all to Ming Tsai. If you didn't meet him today, you probably heard him. Like I can hear him from where he talks a lot, but he's so much fun. And he has changed the game for Family Reach. I met Ming 6 years ago on a golf course. And he is a chef, so when I started telling him about what I did, he was waiting for me to talk about, the nutritional part of cancer. So I assured him that we help families keep food on the table. But since then, Ming has raised Family Reach in 6 years over $5 million. He is the president of our National Advisory Board. He's on our board of directors. Most people think, I've been told this so many times, that I run Ming's foundation, but that's okay, because he's earned it. So Ming, come up, say a few words. Thank you. Yeah, I was supposed to tell you that on Friday we went to Lucille Packard and Ming cooked for all of these kids battling cancer. And he's done that at like 5 or 6 different hospitals across the country. So he's serious about feeding these kids.
I can talk now?
Yeah.
Thank you, Carla. Michelle, that's an awesome story.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sure ringing that bell is the best sound ever, so congrats on that. So I'm going to be really quick. I'm going to take 2 minutes to tell you why I'm so deep with Family Reach. So 6 years ago, I did meet Carla. I actually had Diane Lynch's event called Golf Fights Cancer. And I got really deep when I finally found out what Family Reach did and met this amazing family, single mom. So think about that. Michelle fortunately has a husband and one stopped work, but you still have one income. But if you're a single parent and you stop work, guess what? You have no income. So Michaelo, who's my hero, he was 2 years old. He battled cancer, was cured, but then it came back. If you have cancer as a kid and it comes back, it's more than twice as bad. Raquel, the single mom, was out of money. She handled it the first time, but this time, no go. Michaela was getting chemo and radiation for 2 years while they lived in a homeless shelter. So this isn't even charity, this is humanity. I mean, just think about that. If you're in the 1%, you're gonna be fine. But the other 99%, you're not. But the kicker was the doctor told Raquel, the mother, for Michaela to survive, he needs a bone marrow transplant. However, because of your sanitary conditions of the homeless shelter, we cannot administer the bone marrow transplant, it won't stick. Sorry. You can't tell a mom, sorry, your son's gonna die when there's a cure. That's when Family Reach stepped in and said, that's BS. Here's your apartment back for a year. You don't worry about your lodging, we got that covered, we got your back. You worry about Michaela, only Michaela. And I'm so proud and happy to say that he's now 9 years old. He has celebrated his 6th year in remission. And every time I see him, which is at least twice a year, he gives me the biggest hug in the world. And besides my own 2 children, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And that's my thanks. I don't do this for them. I do this for me. There is nothing better than that hug. So all of you guys are doing the same thing. Okay. But we have a lot more to do. So I'm going to just give an opportunity of 2 things that we're doing that I think is so cool. We have this. This is a very simple, it's called the key holder program. You have cards on your table. Diane Lynch is going to be over here at this table. Not only is it the coolest keychain in the world that rotates, but if you have this, you are cool. You are hip, right? If you become a Keyhole member, it costs $15 a month. That's it. So for those of you that have children that may be on a soccer team, or Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, or big, whatever group you may have, this is something that is a low-hanging fruit. Most everyone can afford $15 a month. It reoccurs, so you can easily, I think, you get a group of kids, a group of adults, or a gigantic company to buy into this key holder. It can so greatly help. You get dedicated newsletters, you get behind the scenes things that happen at Family Reach, like our Cooking Live event that we do. If anyone happens to be from New York or is in New York on November 14th, we have our 5th Cooking Live, which is the coolest event ever. This year we have Morimoto-san, Iron Chef, cooking with me. We have Todd English. We have Sean Hergaz, a 2-star Michelin chef. It's at the Ritz-Carlton. We set up a kitchen in the ballroom like this ballroom. It's a very cool event. So if you happen to be in New York or live there, please come check us out November 14th. We'd be happy to send you details on that. But if you can sign up for the key holder, you'll be in a very special group of people and know that you're really helping the Michelles, the Coltens, the Hulks of the world. So please at least consider doing the key holder. With that, we would greatly appreciate. As well, you guys do have a card, and that card, we obviously would appreciate any amount of money, because guess what? It does matter. I mean, you hear Michelle's story. I mean, can you imagine? I have 2 children, knock on wood, they've never been diagnosed with cancer, but I just can't imagine those struggles that you're not only dealing with your child with cancer, you're thinking about, I'm going to be evicted. And the Raquel story, if you can imagine, once you're evicted, that is a downward spiral that is so hard to get out of. And it's not fair. Our system is broke. And I say this to Carla in all respect, Family Reach has been a Band-Aid. Our actual system is broke. Thank God there's Obamacare, but it's not like in Australia or Norway or France. But we will get there. I mean, having Carla at the White House, spreading the awareness is one of the coolest things that's ever happened for Family Reach. Because now everyone, the hundreds of thousands that saw her speak, now have this aha moment and realize, wow, never thought about the financial strife that cancer can cause. It's not just the disease that may take your child's life. It's about, oh my God, I can't even afford the medicine. I have to have the medicine. Or I have to not think about my other 2 kids that need to be fed. And one of the worst things I've ever heard is when a mother has to decide, do I buy food for my 2 children that are healthy, or do I buy the medicine to try to cure my son who has cancer? No mom, no dad should ever have to make that decision. So you guys should feel so good about yourselves, because the amount of money, $950,000 that you have raised for Family Reach, you have saved lives. And you know what? There's nothing more important. I tell my kids this as well. We're put on this planet to leave your mark. We're put on this planet to leave it better than when we got here. And everyone in this room is leaving this world a better place. So for that, I thank you very much. All right. Lastly, we're going to bring Cam and Joe back up. They have the winning raffle drawings, and I want